Hello. The 1980s start today for Dodge and Chrysler Plymouth dealers and salespeople. And with the new decade comes the opportunity to move Chrysler Corporation, its products, its dealers, and its salespersons back to where they belong in the automotive marketplace. I don't guess I'll get any argument on that objective. I'm Jerry Pyle, Vice President of Sales for Chrysler, and I want to take just a few moments to speak with you salespeople as we kick off the 80s. There is a saying that today is the first day of the rest of your life, and that message seems especially appropriate for us today with the public introduction of our 1980 models. Today certainly is the first day of the rest of our lives, at least our business lives, and that makes it a pretty darned important day for me, and I think for you too. We've been taking a lot of actions and doing a lot of talking over the past several months to get ready for this day, the launch into the 80s. But before we get into the 80s, let's look backwards for just a moment. Together, we have just finished one of the greatest sales events in our history, or for that matter, the industry's history. 205,000 car and truck sales in 40 days, a record. The best truck sales month, September, in our history. Nearly 250,000 units straight out of our inventory. Record dealer and salesperson's earnings. And in the process, we kick sand in our competitors' face. Well, sure, that's history. But importantly, for today's situation, we are ready to sell our 1980 products. Well, we've had a few detours along the way and a few snags trying to get to where we are today. But the important thing is that we are here. We are ready for the 80s. We've got the products and the programs to move forward. Our house is in order. Our team is in position. We're in fighting trim, and believe me, we're ready to fight. And that's the real subject I want to cover with you today. The fight for greater market share through harder, smarter selling and the increased number of closes and commissions that this kind of effort will bring. Now, many of you attended our 1980 product introduction show during the past several weeks. I hope you came away from that meeting with the feeling that your corporation means business. We are in the marketplace to stay, and we've got the products in place to make a real move on the competition. Now, we may have been down over the past couple of years, but anyone who knows what's going on at Chrysler knows that we're for real. We're going to succeed. I am absolutely confident of that, and I want to share my confidence. You know, back in 1959, when Vince Lombardi took over the Green Bay Packers, he inherited a team that won a grand total of one game the entire previous season. One lousy game in this first season. The same Packer team, with basically a carryover roster, won 7 games the following season. And they were playing for all the marbles in the World Championship. Well, the rest is just history. The Packers under Vince Lombardi went on to become the single most dominant force in professional footballs for years. Well, the analogy between those Packers and today's Chrysler organization is almost too obvious. Right now, if you believe what you read in the newspapers, we're about on equal footing with those 58 Packers. Well, that's nonsense, because we're better, a whole lot better. I happen to think that the nucleus for a pretty damn good ball club is right here, and you salespeople are an important part of that nucleus. In fact, there is absolutely no group that will have a greater impact on Chrysler's future than you. Well, let me be as realistic as I can with you. I know that you're not particularly concerned about the success or profitability of Chrysler Corporation, except as it affects you. What will the corporation's success do for your wallets, for your professional status as an automobile salesperson, for your future? It's a fair question. Hell, I feel exactly the same way. So let's look at it from that perspective. What is in it for us? What do we get if we succeed? Basically two things. fatter paychecks that improve the quality of our life, or at least help us keep up with inflation, and a job that we're damn proud to hold, working with people and a corporation we're pleased to represent. I want you to have that feeling of pride, because I believe that being proud of what you do is tremendously important. In fact, pride in your work helps you do it even better. I think you can and will be proud to be associated with the Chrysler Plymouth and Dodge associations in the years ahead. Now, I know it's been rough for many of you to sell our products over the past few years. It might have been a whole lot easier to make a living selling Chevrolets or Fords. Well, that's all over. We have fixed those things that were getting in your way in closing deals in the past. Quality is improved across the board. I promise you that. You can sell our products with assurance that they're going to hold up. Inside and out, our cars look great, perform well, ride comfortably, and are as competitive as hell with anything else on the market. And our image is on the upswing. One thing for sure, more people are thinking and talking about Chrysler today than at any other time in our history. You know the old PR gag, say anything you want about me, just spell my name right. Well, of course, I'm not saying that all the headlines are positive or good, but at least there's interest. People are watching us and pulling for us. We're beginning to get our side of the story told. Maybe you've seen some of the stories in recent issues of Time, Newsweek, and other national publications. People are reading about our new products and product improvements in newspapers and magazines. They're seeing our commercials on television, and I've got to think they're watching them to see just what it is we're doing to help ourselves. Those commercials are telling a pretty convincing story on why prospects had better look to Chrysler Corporation, to Dodge and Chrysler Plymouth dealers before they look anywhere else, because we've got one hell of a story versus our competition. Best of all, we're naming the competition by name and telling your prospects the specifics of why a particular Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge car or Dodge truck is better than competitive models. That's going to be our strategy this year, going head-to-head and toe-to-toe with the competition and telling the entire world about it. Our ads do it, and you've got to do it too. Now, to help you, we're putting together the finest package of training materials ever. Of course, your Betamax materials will give you the nuts and bolts of us versus them. But we'll also have uptown product comparison meetings in your zone with actual ride and drives of competitive products. Don't miss them. After that comes the moment of truth, you and your customer. Because once we drive prospects into the showroom, it's your show, all the way. We can help to get them in, but you've got to close them. You've got to be able to get inside the prospect, determine exactly what car or truck is best suited to his or her needs. You've got to help them. You've got to lead him every step of the way, and you've got to stay with him while he goes through all those mental gymnastics before actually settling in on what he wants to buy. Sometimes it's the little thing that does the job. Now, let me cover an experience I had recently. About 2 weeks ago, a reporter from CBS Radio came to my office and said, "What's new from Chrysler this year?" And of course, I talked about our beautiful new Cordoba, our new Murata, our Diplomat and LeBarons, and all the other fine cars that are going to be available this year. But at the conclusion of that, she said, "Mr. Pyle, I have always heard about the tradition of Chrysler engineering, how it's better than anybody else's. What new things in 1980 is Chrysler's engineering department bring us?" I said, "I'm glad you asked that question, because this year we have two absolutely fantastic innovations unmatched by the competition: wide ratio transmission and lock-up torque converter." She smiled at me and she said, "Mr. Pyle, that's fine. What are they?" I had made the critical mistake that a salesman could make. I knew the buzzwords, I knew the headlines, I didn't know the customer benefit associated with those innovations. I didn't know that wide ratio transmission provides increased fuel efficiency at the high end, better pickup at the low end, or that a lock-up torque converter eliminates slippage in the transmission, giving almost 5% better fuel economy. Now, if you think there's a moral in my telling you this story, you're absolutely right. You must know not only what we're offering, but the associated consumer's benefit. Well, in the last few months have not been easy for any of us. I'm not trying to tell you that success in 1980 is going to be any easier either, because it's not. There's a war going on out there in the marketplace, and they're shooting real bullets. We know we've done everything we know how to do, a lot of which we really couldn't even afford. But we had to give you the ammunition that you need to compete in the 80s. Now you're going to have to work like you've never worked before. You might even have to do some things that I bet many Ford and Chevrolet salesmen might just forget to do this year. Things like prospecting and giving demonstration rides. We've got to get back to some of the good, old-fashioned selling techniques that we've all known and used, but maybe have cast aside in the past few years. If you just follow all the basics you've learned the first week you were a salesman, regardless of what you were selling, then you will close deals in 1980, because we've got the products that are worth buying. You prove that in August and September. You can do it again in October, November, and December. Now, I've been around this business long enough and in enough different positions to know that we've got some marvelous business opportunities in the days, weeks, and years ahead. I haven't been around the Chrysler organization all that long, but I already know that the Chrysler Retail Group is as good as or better than anybody in the business. Now, I can't think of any more appropriate way to close here than to paraphrase Vince Lombardi's favorite expression, which I'm sure you've heard 100 times before. It goes like this: selling isn't everything. Right now for us, it's the only thing. I'm counting on each of you to give it your best shot. I'll give it mine, and working together, we will succeed, and you can count on it. Thank you very much.